After losing my job, my daughter's reaction changed everything. You must see this. Before we begin the story, make sure to subscribe to our channel and never miss more incredible stories every day. At 9:14 a.m., HR slid the termination letter toward me. The conference room smelled like lemon cleaner and panic. Ms. Carter's smile was corporate perfect, the kind that doesn't reach her eyes. Restructuring, she said, like a blanket that warms and smothers at once. I'm Alex, 45, the steady parent who shows up on time, covers extra shifts, keeps things running when the system hiccups. Health insurance keeps Lily's inhalers refilled and our mortgage steady. This job wasn't glamorous, but it was a promise I kept. I read the letter twice. In the margins, a sticky note. Please return badge. Ms. Carter explained severance like she was teaching a safe recipe. 2 weeks pay, COBRA options, and an NDA that seemed to grow fangs the longer I looked. If you sign by end of day, we can expedite benefits. She pushed a pen forward. The door behind me stayed closed. No manager. No exit interview. My last performance review exceeds expectations. Lay somewhere in the system like a postcard from a kinder planet. Is there an appeal? I asked. A way to understand, why me? Restructuring decisions are confidential, Ms. Carter said. We appreciate your service. When she left me alone to review in privacy, I stared at the NDA paragraph warning against discussing business processes, personnel decisions, or internal communications, under penalty of losing severance and legal action. My name was misspelled once, my employee ID typed with a 0 instead of an O. Small errors ring like alarms when your life is boxed. I walked out with a cardboard carton and the pen she forgot to take back. It felt like stealing, though context was what vanished. The clock in the lobby read 9:26. By 9:40, I was in my car, breathing shallow. I texted Lily, running late to pick you up for rehearsal. Might be a minute. She called right away, voice clear as a bell. What happened, Dad? I swallowed the truth because terror tastes like politeness. We'll talk soon. Soon means now, she said, soft and fierce. What did they do to you? The pen in my pocket clicked like a metronome before it snapped in half. I didn't tell Lily on the phone. I drove to the high school, parked far from the entrance, and watched her cross the lot with a garment bag slung over her shoulder. She waved, then saw my face, and the wave dipped into worry. Lily takes after her mother in quick reads and after me in stubborn fixes. In the passenger seat, she set the bag on her knees and said, "Start wherever you can." I started with where I always start, work. How my father used to say a good day is clocking in, clocking out, and coming home. How our town survived the last factory closure by stacking 2 jobs on one spine. How, when she was 8, I let her stamp invoices in the garage so she could feel the rhythm of work, the mild miracle of turning paper into paid light. Maybe I wanted to convince myself I still had a backbone. She listened without blinking. Dad, did they give you paperwork? I handed her the folder. Lily read the NDA line aloud and winced. This is choking you. She pulled out my last review I'd printed for my records and laid it beside the termination letter. 2 months ago you were exceeds. Now you're a budget line? That's not a pattern. That's a rewrite. At home, we cleared the kitchen table. Bills, college emails, and the spare laptop formed a small battlefield. Morgan texted from a work trip. Heard about the restructure. Don't make waves. We need references. Morgan means well, but peace has always been their favorite furniture. Heavy, polished, and impossible to move. Lily clicked through the company portal while I opened the benefits site. The severance PDF wanted a signature today. PTO payout was missing hours I could name in my sleep. On the fridge, a calendar's smiley face over Friday's school awards night made my stomach turn. I'd promised to be the parent who shows up, not the one who explains. If they're clean, Lily said, they won't mind questions. She pointed to my email's security tab. Export your data. Her fingers flew, not reckless but practiced. Mom's going to say hush. But hush is how people vanish from their own lives. Outside, the sprinklers came on, little time-stamped applause for a day that had emptied me. My phone buzzed with a block number voicemail that ended after 3 seconds of silence. The blocked voicemail transcribed as, "Call about account," and nothing else. When I called back, the auto system asked for an extension I didn't have. Lily raised an eyebrow and typed the number into a search bar. A debt collector. I felt the sting before the cut. Had I missed a payment? Our mortgage auto-pays on the first. Utilities ride the card. I keep a spreadsheet older than her driver's license. Maybe a scam, I said, and hated the hope in it. In the folder, a receipt for my badge replacement from 5 months ago slid loose. At the bottom, a note I'd forgotten. Access expanded to floor 6. Floor 6 is finance. I'd only gone up there twice to drop supplies. Still, the note hummed. At dinner, the quiet was fork-scrape loud. Morgan came home late, kissed the air near my forehead, and said, "Let's not catastrophize. Restructures happen. Sign, collect, move on." "The NDA is broad," I said. "It bans discussing internal communications." "Why hide routine emails?" "Because people twist things," Morgan answered, eyes on their phone. "Companies plug leaks." Lily slid the laptop toward me. "Your calendar shows a meeting 3 weeks ago with Ms. Carter titled Q2 Variants. You never mentioned that." I stared at the invite. I hadn't accepted it. Declined automatically, yet it existed on my calendar with a green check. The room tilted. I wasn't in that meeting. "Was your account open on another device?" Lily asked. "If someone had your session, they could ghost accept." Morgan folded their arms. "Enough. Alex needs time, not conspiracies." The doorbell rang. A courier handed me a thin envelope marked HR. Inside, a corrected NDA with my name spelled right, an updated deadline, and a clause adding non-disparagement beyond company matters. It felt like watching water rise around your shoes. That night, I lay awake reading my past reviews, tiny lifeboats floating across a bright screen. At 1:03 a.m., an event removed itself from my calendar and reappeared 1 minute later with the title changed from Variance Review to Sync. I didn't touch a key, and yet my work history kept editing itself while I watched. Morning brought the kind of sun that makes bad news look friendly. My team chat booted me mid-thread with a gray notice. "You no longer have access to this conversation." The notification arrived while I was still logged in. I stared at the absence like it was an empty chair at dinner. Then Lily said, "Dad, look." She'd pulled the email headers from my last review. The timestamp matched my boss's send time, but the edited by field showed a second user ID, Carter M. At breakfast, Morgan rehearsed the speech they wanted me to give future employers. "Say you left during a reorg to pursue growth." "That isn't true," I said. "Truth won't pay, Cobra," they replied. "We need a bridge." At school rehearsal, I sat in the back row and watched Lily straighten a microphone cord like a surgeon. A boy 2 seats over whispered, "That's the layoff kid." Teenagers say aloud what adults pad with etiquette. Lily met my eyes and nodded once, steady. That night, she made tea and asked me to open my personal email. Search calendar invites. Then export. I followed her steps. A gap yawned between March 3rd and March 9th. No invites sent, none received. My job in March had been putting out small fires every hour. Silence for 6 workdays read like a false alibi. Lily tapped a key. "Dad, there's a deleted item that still caches a subject line. Variance correction. Alex, please adjust." "Adjust what?" I whispered. She shrugged. "If they tagged you, your account logs will show it." Morgan pressed their palms flat on the table. "I'm begging you both, do not pick a fight with a corporation." A new email arrived from MS. Carter's assistant. Gentle reminder about signing today. Benefits conditioned on compliance. I felt my ribs count themselves. Lily whispered, "If compliance means burying the truth, we should ask for air." She highlighted the non-disparagement clause and pasted a state statute on whistleblowing beside it. The invite auto-populated a cafe 2 blocks from headquarters, 10 a.m. The sender was my boss, but Ms. Carter was BCC'd. The cafe smelled like burnt sugar in meetings. My boss arrived with a paper cup and eyes that slid off mine. "Just checking in," he said, as if I hadn't been dismissed by a form letter. "We value you." This was above me. He kept glancing at the door like the conversation might grow teeth. "Then who adjusted my review?" I asked. I showed him the header printout. His thumb twitched. "IT glitch," he said too fast. "And the variance email?" His cup lid creaked. "Finance needed corrections." It wasn't personal. At home, Morgan lined up the bills like soldiers. "We cannot afford a crusade," they said. "We need recommendations and a clean break." I wanted to give them peace the way people want to give rain to fields that never asked for sun. But Lily printed the whistleblower statute and slid it under my hand. "We're not making a speech," she said. "We're making a record." That afternoon, Ms. Patel from the community legal clinic returned my message. She spoke gently, like someone who has watched many small boats try to cross large waves. "You don't need to accuse," she said. "You document policies, timelines, and the exact language of any NDA, especially if a non-disparagement clause tries to cover lawfully protected activity." I emailed Ms. Carter. "Please clarify whether your NDA prohibits reporting potential policy violations to appropriate agencies." She replied in 12 minutes. "Our documents comply with all laws. Please sign by 5 p.m. It was 4:11. Lily lifted her phone. "Dad, your team posted congratulatory photos, new budget launch. They tagged your replacement." The face in the photo was a contractor who'd shadowed me last month. My stomach folded like paper. "If you sign, they win," Lily whispered. "If you don't, we may lose benefits." I stared at the fridge calendar and felt time as a trap. I needed health coverage, dignity, and sleep, in any order the world would allow. Ms. Patel's final line echoed. "You don't need to accuse, you document." I opened a blank binder file and typed a title in capital letters, Timeline. Marcus met us at the kitchen table with a travel mug and a grin that meant he'd already been digging. He used to sit 2 cubes down from me before he jumped to another company's IT team, and he still talks in nouns that act like verbs. Export. Difference verify. He slid his laptop around. "I pulled your personal data archive and parsed the headers you sent. 2 things." He pointed. 1. Your performance review carries a second editor stamp tied to Ms. Carter's service account. 2. The Slack export we captured last month. Remember the team channel where you logged supply shortages? Now shows a thread inserted retroactively. The timestamp says March 6th, 11:58 p.m. You weren't online then. Lily leaned in. "What does the thread say?" "That Alex acknowledged repeated coaching on variance tracking," Marcus read. "Except Alex never typed it. And the message ID sequence is out of order, which is ugly." He glanced at me. "You used a company phone?" "Only my badge and a workstation," I said. "No take-home device." "Then someone used a privileged tool," he said. "Or your session stayed open somewhere and an admin acted under you." We compared my calendar ICS file to the web view. The ICS, downloaded 2 months ago and forgotten in a folder, showed meetings I remembered, plus an invite from finance titled Variance Correction, Please Align. In the current web calendar, that invite survived only as sync. Marcus pulled the file hashes. "The ICS predates your termination by 8 weeks. Hard to argue with a fingerprint older than the crime scene." Morgan rubbed their temples. "If you're right, we still can't afford to fight this." "Documenting isn't fighting," Marcus said. "It's packing a parachute." Lily opened my benefits portal. "Dad, the PTO calculator docked 2 sick days from last April. Days you covered because Sam was out." She clicked to my pay stubs. They never credited the on-call weekend either. Marcus whistled. "Classic cost optics. Trim liabilities, shift variance, call it restructure." I heard the refrigerator hum and the smallest sound of our lives trying to continue. My phone chimed. Gentle reminder, sign by 5 p.m. Lily's gaze didn't waver. "We need to ask for an external meeting with someone who can't be edited from a dashboard." Marcus nodded. "Union clinic, ombuds, or community mediation, bring the binder." Morgan looked at me with tired love. "Promise me you'll weigh the cost." I reached for the pen that broke in my pocket yesterday and felt the sharp edge of the crack. "I promise I won't trade our future for someone else's tidy spreadsheet," I said, even as fear mapped every bill on the table. At 4:52 p.m., Ms. Carter emailed an enhanced severance if I signed a broader gag by tomorrow morning. I read her offer twice and whispered, "So they think my silence is worth a little more." We built the binder like a raft. Marcus printed full email headers with the weird edited by chain. Lily added the ICS file hash and a 1-page explanation in plain language. I copied the PTO policy where accrual must be paid in full upon separation. Morgan, still torn, gathered our insurance documents and circled the COBRA premium like a bruise. I called the union hotline we're allowed as community members even without a shop card. A volunteer paralegal named Ben gave me a case number and said, "If any clause appears to chill protected reporting, don't sign until a neutral reviews it." At the bank, a loan officer checked our auto-pay history and found no missed mortgage, only an automated employment verification ping that failed yesterday afternoon. That ping can cascade, she said softly. If HR marks you as ineligible for rehire, some underwriting bots treat it as risk. She printed a letter stating our payment history was perfect. Proof is oxygen, I breathed. We stopped by the benefits office in person. A clerk named Dana pulled my PTO ledger and frowned. It says manual adjustment, policy variance. That code should only apply after a documented audit. She looked up. Do you have the audit? I shook my head. She printed the ledger anyway and slid it across. Sometimes the system needs encouragement. At a coffee shop, a bartender from the venue my team uses for launches recognized my photo. You're the supply guy, she said, then lowered her voice. I clocked your boss here with a contractor last week, picking entrees. Said they'd need someone to clean up Q2 optics. They laughed. I shouldn't repeat that. It just stuck. She wrote her name and number on a napkin. Witness notes felt like stitching. Back home, Lily pinned a timeline to the wall using blue painter's tape. March 3rd to 9th calendar gap. March 6th midnight Slack insert. March 12th finance invite retitled. April on-call credit missing. May review edited. June 9th restructuring letter. June 9th enhanced gag. Marcus added a bright post-it. Who benefits? Under it, he wrote, Q2 variance target, contractor hours, executive bonus windows. Morgan stood at the doorway, eyes damp. I don't want our kid learning that power always wins, they said. But I'm scared we'll lose our footing. Then we pack a bigger parachute, Lily said. And we pick a ground with witnesses. The Ombuds's office confirmed a slot tomorrow at 10 a.m. with a neutral facilitator and permission to bring a representative. The confirmation email CC'd MS Carter, who replied instantly, Not necessary. Our offer stands if you sign tonight. Sleep arrived like a stingy landlord. I woke at 3:11 a.m. to a notification that my company account password had been changed as part of separation protocol. The portal locked. Fine. We had enough exported to map a story. At dawn, Marcus texted, pulled a public copy of the exec comp plan. Bonus metrics tied to Q2 variance under 2%. Your shortages reports messed the curve. I stared at the line where numbers turn people into math. Below, another clause. Operational efficiencies through headcount optimization recognized at quarter end. Headcount optimization. I repeated into the sync. Lily set a mug beside me. They shaved the denominator, she said, voice flat. Make the ratio look good, then claim efficiency. She scrolled. Dad, your contractor replacement bills through a different GL code. They're not counted in headcount, but they're doing your work. She pointed at a vendor listing online. Their PO approved May 29th, 2 weeks before your review changed. The mini twist arrived not with fireworks, but with alignment. My review softened to meets after edits. My shortages notes were retro-tagged as coaching acknowledged. My calendar was scrubbed, PTO reduced, and the termination hit just before quarter close. Benefits? The Cobra quote was off by $180 compared to the plan summary. Dana's ledger showed they'd misapplied the rate tier change. Dad, Lily said gently, this isn't random. They made the metrics look right and fed you to the math. Morgan rubbed the space between their eyes. If you expose this, they could refuse references. They could fight unemployment. Then we show our work, I said. Timelines, policies, numbers. We don't editorialize, we demonstrate. Marcus assembled a side-by-side. ICS versus web calendar, email header versus PDF, Slack export versus fresh pull from a teammate who trusted him. The differences weren't loud, but they were consistent, like footprints you only notice once you kneel. At 8:37 a.m., Ms. Carter sent a new PDF labeled Final Severance. It expanded the non-disparagement to ban any negative implication about leadership judgment. Ben from the hotline emailed a warning. This language, if applied to reporting, risks unlawfulness. He attached a state AG bulletin about NDAs that chill protected disclosures. I gathered the binder, the bank letter, Dana's PTO printout, the bartender's napkin, and Lily's timeline. We asked questions, I said. We read the clauses aloud. We let the math speak. On the way out, my phone buzzed with a private number and a single sentence that made my throat close around air. If you go public, consider how colleges viewed difficult families. The ombuds's office was in a bland municipal building with beige walls and a faint smell of coffee grounds. The facilitator, Ms. Alvarez, greeted us with a calm smile that steadied my legs more than caffeine ever could. She explained the ground rules. Each side presents, documents speak louder than opinions, and interruptions would be noted. Ms. Carter arrived in a navy suit, polished as always, carrying a thin folder. Her eyes flicked to Lily, who sat with her notebook open, pen already poised. Marcus adjusted his laptop, ready to project side-by-sides if allowed. Ms. Carter began, voice smooth. This termination was part of a larger restructuring. Mr. Alex was treated fairly and offered severance above statutory minimum. Any confusion stems from transition processes, not intent. She handed over a clean timeline that painted me as an underperformer, late reports, missed coaching, PTO misuse. My stomach clenched. Lily's hand brushed mine, grounding me. May I respond? I asked. Alvarez nodded. I slid our binder forward. First, PTO, I said. Company policy requires payout in full. Here's the ledger from Dana and benefits, showing manual adjustment without an audit. I placed it beside Carter's chart. Next, performance review. Marcus projected the email header metadata, edited by Ms. Carter's account after my manager signed. Here's the original hash. Alvarez leaned closer. Carter's jaw tightened. Slack coaching acknowledgement. Marcus pulled up the thread IDs. Inserted March 6th at 11:58 p.m. Sequence out of order. Independent export proves it. Alvarez frowned. Ms. Carter, can you explain? She shifted, voice clipped. Administrative corrections happen. Metadata doesn't always reflect intent. Lily spoke, clear and steady. Then why did my dad's shortages report vanish after a finance invite was retitled? I have the ICS file from before edits. She clicked to show the side-by-side calendar. Silence stretched. Even Morgan, who had begged caution, mouthed wow. Carter's folder looked thinner now. She closed it. I remind you, enhanced severance remains on the table if we stop here. Alvarez lifted a hand. We're not here to negotiate silence. We're here to review fairness. The clock ticked toward noon. Carter's phone buzzed twice. She didn't check it. Alvarez asked us to break for 10 minutes, and as Carter stepped into the hall, Marcus whispered, "Check your inbox. Someone just shared an internal memo." I opened the email and froze at the subject line. Variant Strategy Q2, approved. The memo sat like dynamite on my screen. Dated May 15th, 2 weeks before my review changed, it outlined a variance reduction strategy that listed 3 bullet points. Reclassify contractor spend, reduce accrual liabilities, and optimize headcount prior to Q2 close. Underneath, my name was highlighted as a candidate for early transition. No performance metrics attached, just numbers, columns, and my life labeled as optimization. Marcus whispered, "It's not speculation anymore. This is the playbook." Lily's jaw tightened. They wrote it down. They knew. When we reconvened, Alvarez asked if either side had new information. I slid the memo forward. This arrived during break, I said. Alvarez scanned, eyes narrowing. Ms. Carter, is this authentic? Carter's lips pressed thin. Internal strategy documents are confidential. Alvarez tapped the header. But authentic. Carter didn't answer. Lily spoke again, calm but firm. You called it restructuring. This memo calls it optimization to hit numbers. That's not performance. That's accounting. Her voice didn't shake. I saw heads in the small room nod faintly. Alvarez, Marcus, even Morgan in the back. Alvarez looked at Carter. We'll need this preserved and reviewed. Suppression of severance fairness could trigger penalties. Carter finally exhaled. I'll need to consult counsel. The meeting paused again. In the hallway, Carter leaned close, voice low. Alex, take the package. Walk away. You'll get references intact. Her eyes flicked toward Lily. Or risk your daughter's future applications. HR has a long memory. The words were soft, but the chill was sharp. I felt my hands tremble. Morgan pulled me aside. This is the cost I warned you about. Lily crossed her arms. No, this is the threat they count on. Don't fold, Dad. Marcus muttered, parachutes open. We just need to steer it. Back inside, Alvarez scheduled a follow-up, pending independent review. No signatures today, she said. Both sides retained documents. Carter gathered her slim folder and left quickly, heels clicking sharp on the linoleum. We walked into the sunlight. The city felt different, as if walls themselves were listening. My phone buzzed with a private text. You don't know what you've started. Stop before it spreads. The text rattled me more than the meeting. Stop before it spreads. No signature, no number saved, but the tone was too familiar. Lily read over my shoulder. Classic intimidation, she said. Marcus scanned the header. Masked through a relay, but still local. Likely someone inside IT. I thought of late nights where I stayed behind, systems humming, Miss Carter's door light glowing. At home, Lily spread the binder across the kitchen again. We need copies off-site. Cloud, print, USB, everything. Marcus nodded. Air gap 1. Keep originals in a safe place. Morgan shook their head. Do you realize how much stress you're inviting? Their voice cracked. I want to protect Lily, not put her in a crossfire. She's already in it, Lily said. We all are. Her pen tapped the timeline. But now we're not powerless. We have facts. That evening, Lily spoke at her school's community forum. The topic was integrity in public life, but she used it as a stage. When institutions hide behind policies, families pay the price, she said, not naming me, but describing enough that teachers glanced my way. Sometimes courage isn't grand. It's just not signing the wrong paper. Applause filled the auditorium. My chest ached with pride and fear. Back home, I found another envelope slipped under our door. Inside, a photocopy of my review with coaching ignored stamped in red ink across the top. Lily held it up to the light. Different paper stock. Not official. Marcus checked the footer. Watermarks missing. This is fabricated. The intimidation was escalating. I thought of my mortgage, my insurance, my kids' college forms waiting in a drawer. Morgan's eyes were heavy. Please, Alex. What if they dig deeper into us? I looked at Lily, standing straighter than I'd ever seen her, binder clutched like a shield. She whispered, they're already digging. The question is, do we stand or kneel? That night, my inbox pinged again, this time with a message from an unknown sender attaching 3 new files labeled Expense Variance Q2. I hesitated before opening the attachments. Marcus leaned over my shoulder. Air gap first, he said, sliding in a clean USB. We downloaded the files, disconnected, and opened them offline. The spreadsheets showed department-level expenses with 1 column highlighted, headcount optimization. Next to my name were coded notes. Transitionable, NDA recommended. The language was chillingly clinical. Beneath it, another line read, cover budget shortfall, reclassify travel as training. Marcus whistled. This is budget fraud, plain and simple. Lily stared at the numbers. They erased you to protect a spreadsheet. I rubbed my temples. If this is authentic, it's bigger than my job. It's systemic. Marcus nodded. And they're sloppy. Look, metadata shows edits after Carter's login expired. Someone higher up approved this. At that moment, my phone buzzed with another message from the same unknown number. Files shouldn't be in your hands. Walk away, Alex. Morgan nearly shouted. Do you see? This is dangerous. Just take the payout and keep us safe. But Lily's eyes blazed. Safe from what? Living under lies? Watching them erase anyone inconvenient? I was torn clean in half. My instinct said shield my family, but my gut said the truth mattered more. Marcus spoke softly. If you stop now, they'll bury this. But if you push, you'll need neutral oversight. Someone who can't be silenced. I asked, like who? He answered, union rep, ombuds, even a journalist. But once you pick, there's no going back. Lily closed the binder and looked at me. Dad, you always told me courage is doing the right thing, scared. Are you still that man? Her words cut deeper than Carter's threats ever could. That night, as the house slept, I stared at the files again, and one line at the bottom chilled me. Variance exposure risk if Alex appeals beyond HR. The next morning, I called the union hotline. My voice shook, but I gave my employee ID and asked for an independent review of termination records. The rep on the other end paused. You're not the first. Bring what you have. We set a meeting for Thursday. Marcus prepared multiple binders, one for the union, one for Alvarez, one locked away. Lily insisted on coming, though Morgan begged her to stay out of it. This isn't your fight, Morgan argued. Lily replied. It became my fight the second they lied to us. At the union office, the rep, Mr. Daniels, reviewed our evidence. His brow furrowed as he flipped through the expense variance sheet. This isn't just wrongful termination. This could be audit-triggering fraud. He looked up. If you pursue, they'll scramble. Expect pushback, legal letters, smear attempts. But you have leverage. A clean case. Lily leaned forward. So what's next? Daniels said. We schedule a mediation with executive HR. But if they stonewall, we escalate. Labor board, maybe even press. The room felt colder. Marcus whispered. This is it, the fork in the road. Back home, Morgan slammed the door. Do you want to ruin us? Public scandal, neighbors whispering, Lily dragged into headlines? I answered quietly. What ruins us more, lies or truth? Silence stretched. Lily squeezed my hand. Dad, I'd rather face whispers than watch you silenced. That night, another envelope appeared. This time slid under Lily's bedroom door. Inside was a printout of her forum speech, with red ink scrawled, Keep quiet, girl. Don't make Dad regret this. Lily's face went pale, but her jaw clenched. They're trying to break us apart, she whispered. I held the paper and realized the line had already been crossed. The next morning, Daniels called. Mediation is set for Friday. Executive VP attending. Bring everything. Friday morning, we walked into the corporate conference room. The air smelled of antiseptic and stale coffee. At the head of the table sat Ms. Carter, stone-faced, and beside her, the executive VP, Mr. Harris, flipping through a leather binder. Daniels placed our evidence on the table. Today we establish whether Alex's termination was lawful or fraudulent. Documents speak louder than spin. Carter began with polished lines. This was routine restructuring. Enhanced severance remains available if Alex ceases these allegations. Daniels opened our binder to the memo marked Variance Strategy Q2. He pushed it forward. Explain this. Highlighted employee names, including Alex, weeks before performance review edits. That's not restructuring. That's targeting. Harris frowned. Where did this come from? Marcus spoke. Metadata. Original timestamps. Edited after Carter's login expired. Higher credentials approved it. Carter snapped. Unverified documents can't be admissible here. Daniels leaned in. Then explain why Slack export IDs are out of sequence. Or why the PTO ledger shows a manual adjustment without audit. Or why a fabricated review watermark doesn't match your system. Lily spoke, voice steady. And why did someone threaten me in writing to stay quiet? She slid the red-inked note across the table. Harris read silently. His expression hardened. This is unacceptable. He turned to Carter. Did you authorize this intimidation? Carter's lips tightened. I followed protocol. Daniels tapped the binder. Then let's escalate. Labor board, external auditors, maybe press. Unless you resolve this here and now. Silence pressed heavy. Harris finally spoke. Step outside. We'll reconvene in 10. In the hallway, Marcus whispered. That shook him. But brace yourself. They may offer hush terms again. My phone buzzed. A new message flashed. Take the deal, or your daughter pays the price. The text froze my blood. I showed Marcus and Daniels. Daniels snapped a photo. We'll trace it. Don't react inside. Let them show their hand. Back in the room, Harris's tone was cooler. We recognize procedural errors may have occurred. We propose reinstatement with back pay plus healthcare restored if Alex agrees to confidentiality. I looked at Lily. Her eyes were fire. She whispered, no more silence. I turned back. No. I want fairness without a gag. I want transparency. Carter hissed, you'll regret this. Harris raised a hand. Enough. Ms. Carter, step out. She stormed away, heels sharp on tile. Harris sighed. We'll review independently. Until then, Alex is reinstated provisionally. This isn't over, but your evidence will be preserved. Relief washed over me, but fear lingered. After the meeting, Daniels pulled me aside. Document everything. Don't walk alone. They rattled, but cornered animals bite. That evening, Lily sat at the kitchen table, binder spread wide. Dad, we did it. Not all the way, but enough. Her voice trembled with pride. Morgan placed coffee in front of me. I still fear the fallout, they said softly. I nodded. So do I. But Lily's courage changed everything. She reminded me silence costs more than truth. Later that night, I sat alone, binder closed, house quiet. I thought of the first moment, the letter sliding across the desk, and the last text threatening my daughter. Both burned into memory. I realized our family story wasn't about losing my job. It was about refusing to lose our voice. And as I closed the lights, one sentence replayed in my mind. Courage isn't about safety. It's about telling the truth anyway.